go through the BrainPOP process and how to make it personalized to meet the needs of you and your students. As you can see, most of you already know, this is the library media page that we have here at Tallwood, where the arrow indicates if you go there, you can find the code for our particular school's BrainPOP login information. This allows you or your students to access BrainPOP even from home. No longer is it blocked so that it's only available at certain times of the day. Alright, if you would like to create an account with me, go ahead and log in as it said on the first screen. You can create this account just going through the steps with me sequentially so that you can have that part marked off your list. After going into BrainPOP.com, you're going to see this section here, Enter Code. So click on this in the upper right hand corner. You're going to get a prompt that looks like this. Our school code, as indicated on that library media page, is as below. You're going to enter that code and hit Submit. This is going to take you to a form to create a My BrainPOP account, which personalizes the account for you and your classroom. Go ahead and continue to fill in this information and click Create Account. Once that account is created, you have to create a class. For teachers that have more than one class, like switch classes or things, that is where you would create more than one account. But for us, most of our needs are going to be met within one class. So once you have a verification email from your account, you're going to log in by clicking right here, My BrainPOP. This will drop down and give you two choices. You're going to click on My Classes, and then you're going to click to create your class right here where it says New Class. It may take a couple of attempts to get a code that hasn't already been taken. It did for me at least. So until you find what meets your needs to remember, it will help prompt you through that process. Right here where you have created your class code, you're going to click here for information on how to share it with your students where it says Share Code. Note that right here where you see this padlock, after 2 weeks your class is going to be locked. So say you get a new student added to your class, or if you have a student that leaves your class, any kind of adjustments that you want to make to your class, you're just going to click on that padlock and it will unlock it so that you can make those necessary adjustments. Okay, yes, students are going to create their accounts in class with you. It's an easy process, and I have the steps indicated here on the PowerPoint, so if you want to use this as part of those steps to do with your students, you're more than welcome to do that. After logging into BrainPOP again, students are going to click here where it says Enter Code. They don't want to fill in this part where it has the prompts to log in. If you note the arrow below, this is when they're creating their account. They're going to click on Sign Up Now. Also, if you notice on the right hand side, you're going to probably not want to use students' lunch numbers as a username because you're going to want to be able to have a way to identify students, and you probably won't know their lunch numbers. So their actual name, username could be their actual name, or if you give students numbers like 1 through 15 and you've gotten that memorized, whatever works for you and your system, just know that, especially if you're doing it from home, you're going to want to make it as easy as possible for yourself. Students are going to get this prompt telling them that their account has been successfully created. are going to need to remember their username. So hopefully it's been done in a way that will be able to be remembered. For students in the older grades, a good idea might be for them to write this username down in their planners so that they will always have it and know where to access it if needed. Whatever your organization system is, just so that they have it written down somewhere. Students will first click log in, and then they're going to enter the username and password that they created. Once they've clicked that login, this drop down will occur. And students are going to have to click here to enter their class code where it says enter code. That code is what was shared earlier when you created your class. That will link their input, any kind of thing that they do in their account, to your class so that you will get reports from their work. Students should be all set to go. At this point, again, it's a pretty easy process, and once they've gone through it, they will be done. Once it's all set up, when you are logged in as the teacher, you're going to first click on where it says My BrainPOP, and then second, click My Classes. This is going to allow you to see the work that your students are doing. So any kind of videos that they're watching, any kind of games that they have played and submitted to you, it will show you what they are doing. Even if they're doing it from home, it will also show you any work that you have assigned that they have submitted to you. So if you've given an assessment or some kind of quiz or homework, it will be submitted to you. So anytime you need to get back to the classes that you've created, you can click here where it says Class Management, but this is kind of what that screen will look like. If you click on Timeline, it's going to show you what the students have submitted to you for a review. So in my case, the class that I've created, I just have the one student, which is myself, just so that I could set up this presentation. If you click on Spreadsheet, it's going to show you the students in your class and their scores in any quizzes that they have taken. So you can toggle to see an initial score. Sometimes they will have submitted a second assessment. You can print this information if you want. You can also export it into an Excel. Whatever you feel is going to be the most useful for you to view and or manage your student outcomes is up to you. But as you can see, I just quickly ran through some answers, but you can see out of a possible 10 points, I initially received 3 points, and then on the second time I took it, out of a 10 points, received 2 points. I didn't do so well, but again, I was just setting it up so that you could see that. If you click on the score, it's going to take you to the actual quiz to show you what the student got incorrect. So as you can see, if I wanted to, as the teacher, see where the student was lacking, especially with such a low score, I could really go in and just get an idea about their strengths and weaknesses. Okay, creating assessments, homework, or exit tickets using or altering from a bank. You can create all of these things based upon a bank of information that is already available to you. If you click on My Mixer Quizzes and then click on New Quiz, you're going to be able to give this some kind of title, something that you will alert students to or yourself, whatever is useful for you in managing and organizing that information. The title is completely up to you. But underneath it where it says Build a Quiz, that's where you're going to tell the system what kind of information to generate for you. So if, for example, you are looking for working on simple addition, you might type in there a beautiful title, but but just explicitly state simple addition where it says build a quiz about. Then you'll click Create a Quiz. And as you can see, you're going to be given a bank of pre-existing quizzes based on whatever search term you used. So as you can see in this example, I searched main idea, and so this was the bank of quizzes that were already created and available to me. As you can also see on the right hand side of the screenshot, there are different authors. So some of them might be BrainPOP generated, some of them might be teacher generated, but if they are available to other people and they are generated in this bank, they have been basically vetted through BrainPOP before they're made available. So once you're going through these banked questions, you can down arrow to see what individual questions are available on each individual quiz. If you notice, this arrow says if you click the plus sign, you can add that specific question to the new assignment or assessment that you're creating. So you can pick and choose one from each one if you wanted. Each individual question can be edited also so that you are making it specific to the needs of your students. So you are not needing to use it exactly as is. You can change it, if you notice, by hitting this pencil, and then it will allow you to edit and create the question the way that you see best fit for your students. Also notice that some of the questions have pictures instead of written answer choices. This is good for a couple of reasons. Some of the questions that we're seeing on the SOL tests are just that, using visual images instead of just words. This is also good for some of the lower grades that may not have the necessary reading levels to complete some of the more wordy questions. So you can kind of go through and pick and choose, again, what suits the needs of your students. Okay, so if the questions are not multiple choice, which you may choose for a mix, or you may choose that none of them are multiple choice, but if they are not, you're going to need to assign those questions a point value. It will prompt you through that process, but just so that you're aware, you'll set that however number, but I believe 10 is the maximum number of points you can give to each question. So once you have finished creating your assessment or assignment, you're going to click Finalize, and that way you can make those final touches. So here, if you click Sharing, it's going to say that you want to submit that to BrainPOP to be vetted, to be shared with everyone. So that's good if you feel like you really want to have this accessible not only to everyone who would go on, but to yourself in future use. Or if you just want to have it between yourself and your students, you don't have to click sharing. You can just keep it for private use. But that's the difference. The code where it says quiz code, the code that you assign or you can auto-generate, you're going to need to know it and give that to the students, because that's what they will need to input in order to complete it. So whatever code it is that you decide to use for each individual assignment, just note the quiz code. You can access it after you click publish, but just so that you know, that code will need to be given to students. Your students are going to click Submit Your Results, and that will turn in their assignment to your account for your feedback. So if it's a multiple choice quiz, once they submit the results, it will give you, as well as the student, the feedback to say what their points earned were out of the total number of points. But if it is an assessment that is not multiple choice, it will just say that the teacher will provide the feedback, and so that will be submitted to you so that you can review. This is what it will look like for your students if it's a feedback kind of question or questions. It will say what that they scored. For this one, it says you scored 1 out of a possible 2, and it will give the students an opportunity to take it again. Again, if you remember in the previous slide, it is something that you will see their first attempt and second attempt. So going back to the teacher view, when you go into your account and then you click on a specific student, you're going to see their scores for any multiple choice assignment. It's already going to be there. If it's not a multiple choice assignment, you're going to see this kind of icon, which is in the upper left-hand corner. If you click on that icon, that is how you can send the student feedback for any of those questions. You can give it specific to each question, or you can give overall comments. So there's comment boxes available for both options. If you notice in the upper right hand corner, you can then provide them the appropriate points that they have earned based upon your assessment of their assignment that was submitted. After you have gone through all of this, you will click Submit to Student, which then gives them that information back to their account. So here's an example of what the student will then see when they receive back your feedback. Notice that on the right-hand side, I have given the student what I felt like was the appropriate point values. For number 1 and number 3, I gave them specific comments for them for both of those answers. I did not give them a general comment for the overall quiz itself. So I chose to focus specifically on commenting on the areas that they lost points on. Again, that's your choice of how you give that feedback. Another component of BrainPOP is that these games that are available that you may or may not have noticed on the main BrainPOP webpage, they are available for students to play independently in your classroom or as a whole group. So sometimes you might want them to use it as a station when they're doing small group math or small group reading. Sometimes you may want to go through it as a whole group lesson. They're all different. I have gone through and tried to pick out a couple that were aligned, if you will, to the standards, and so these are just a few of the things that are available. So for language arts, I gave you a link for a game that focuses on research, and for parts of speech, I gave you a link for a game for that. For math, I found a couple of different things within the games. There was a math that focused on critical thinking, one that focused on using the number line, one that focused on multiplication facts, another one that had angles. Again, these are just a few examples. If you go in and play, I'm sure you will find many, many more that are aligned. Here are some for social studies, branches of government. There was a game for that. American Revolution, continents and oceans were also some games that were available. And then for science, there was some simple machines, food chains, solar system, and plant games that were available. Also, the part that you're probably the most familiar with is the actual videos that are available. Again, I tried to find things that were aligned within each content area that BrainPOP has available. So I put some of those links on here. Again, not all of them, but they are aligned to our standards. For language arts, as you can see, there's a video for grammar, main idea, context clues, dictionary and thesaurus skills, reading comprehension, fact and opinion. Some of these things that I try to focus on are things that I've heard you talk about in collaboration, where we could use some extra time spent for students to have a better understanding, and so hopefully you can use some of these resources in your class. For math, probability, decimals, fractions, commutative and associative property, multiplication, prime numbers. Again, these are just a few examples. There are many, many things available. For branches of government, social studies, constitution, Declaration of Independence, continents, map skills, economics, all of these things fell under the social studies umbrella. And then finally, videos for science like force, motion, and energy, scientific method, concept maps, natural resources, solar system, and weather. Another thing that I just kind of happened upon was that BrainPOP allows you to search their site by Virginia standards, and then you can put the subject matter that you are wanting to find more information on, and then the grade. And once you submit those 3 criteria areas, you'll get a screen that looks something like this from your search. So when you look through the list, I just kind of chose a middle of the road search. It will give you, under those standards, all the things that are available in BrainPOP as a resource. So if you look at the top one where it talks about ancient Greeks and Romans, you can see that there is something in BrainPOP Junior and BrainPOP, and then if you look at the right underneath that, it says 8 more resources. So if you hit that plus sign, it will expand out and show you even more things. So sometimes we are trying to find the right resource to meet our needs for a specific standard. And I thought this was very good that this is aligned to our standards and available to you. Okay, so the bad news is right now, all of the things that I just shared with you in this video are not available in BrainPOP Junior. Yes, that affects some of the lower grades. However, they promised us that that part is coming very, very soon. So you can go ahead and start creating your account and playing with it. I also wanted to share with you that we were looking through, as you saw in an earlier slide, some of the questions that are available in the bank of previously created questions are picture-based, and so even though this isn't available through BrainPOP Junior yet, it is something that could be adapted to meet the needs of the lower grades. So it's certainly worth playing with and trying to see if it's usable for you in your classroom for the lower grades. But again, they promise that this is coming, so we wanted you to be prepared and to know what great things BrainPOP offers us as a resource for our students.